Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget-friendly, and delicious. So if you'd like to get some weeknight meal inspiration for your family, then just keep watching. We had an ice storm last week and I wasn't able to get to the grocery store, so I tried to cook from my freezer and pantry. So for these first few meals, there are things, again, from my freezer and pantry. So I had this coconut shrimp that I got at Aldi. And then I had these stuffed clams that I also got at Aldi. And I don't have the original packaging for that because I had broken the package up into a couple different meals. And then I also have this broccoli and cheese from Green Giant, so I'm just going to cook all of these according to the package instructions. The coconut shrimp did come with a dipping sauce, but I wasn't sure if it would be enough or not, so I looked on Pinterest for a coconut shrimp dipping sauce using things I had on hand, and this is what I came up with. I just mixed equal parts of this Thai sweet chili sauce and orange marmalade together. And here are the finished plates. So we have the coconut shrimp, the broccoli and cheese, and the stuffed clams. The dipping sauce on the left is the one that I made. The dipping sauce on the right is the one that came with the coconut shrimp. This was really good, super quick and easy dinner to put together. That coconut shrimp from Aldi, it's really good. I will say though that there were only about 8 shrimp in the box, so if you're a larger family, you may want to get 2 boxes, but that was dinner this night. For dinner this next night, I really wanted hibachi, but again, we were snowed and iced in, so I dug through my freezer and found that I already had everything on hand. I had a couple of strip steaks in the freezer, some shrimp, and some bay scallops, so I made all of that. And I have done hibachi in my What's for Dinner video before, so I will include a link in the description box below, as well as pop up an iCard if you'd like to see how I made this. For dinner this next night, I'm making what I call easy chicken parmesan. I call it that because instead of breading and frying my own chicken, I'm just using some frozen chicken. So here I'm using these chicken breast fillets from Tyson. This is what I have on hand. I cooked this in my air fryer at 400 degrees for 8 minutes on one side, flipped it over, and cooked it for another 8 minutes on the other side. While my chicken is cooking, I went ahead and boiled up some spaghetti noodles, and I've drained those and set those aside. This is the same pot that I use, so it's not actually dirty. I just used it to cook my pasta. Most of the time when I use jarred pasta sauce, I like to doctor mine up a little bit, but you don't have to. You can just use it out of the jar, or you could also use homemade. That's fine as well. But to doctor mine up, I just add it to this pot. I've added some salt, pepper, Italian seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder, and then I like to add just a pinch of sugar. Now again, you can use whatever seasonings you like and season it according to your taste, but I'm going to mix that together and then just allow that to simmer while my chicken is finished cooking. Once my chicken is done, I'm just going to add some of the pasta sauce. Then I'll add some Parmesan cheese, just a little sprinkle. Then some shredded mozzarella cheese. And then I'm going to place this back into my air fryer and cook this at 400 degrees for just about 2 or 3 minutes or until the cheese is nice and melted. And we like our sauce tossed with our pasta. If you don't, you can just make a bed of spaghetti and then add the sauce on top. But again, we like ours mixed together. So I'm just placing my drained spaghetti back into this pot and adding some pasta sauce, and then that will be ready. And here are the finished plates. So we have the chicken parmesan along with the pasta. And for the sides, again, I was just using what I had on hand. I didn't have enough broccoli for both of us, and I didn't have enough stuff for a salad for both of us. So I made myself a small side salad with some homemade ranch dressing. And then for my husband, I had a little bit of fresh broccoli. I just tossed that in some olive oil, salt, pepper, and garlic powder and cooked that in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 4 or 5 minutes. And that was dinner this night. For dinner this next night, we really wanted fish and chips, but again, we couldn't really get out, so I just used what I had on hand. I first wanted to start my tartar sauce so that could be hanging out in the fridge. To make the tartar sauce, I just do it really simply. I use mayonnaise, relish, lemon juice. I didn't have any fresh, so I'm just using the bottled, and then some salt and pepper, and that's all I put in mine. You can absolutely customize it to your taste, but I'm just going to mix all this together really well and then put it in my fridge until dinner. For the fish and chips or the fish and fries, I'm using this Gorton's beer battered fish fillets, and I am going to cook this in the oven according to the package instructions. And then I'm also going to make some of these crinkle cut fries from Great Value. Again, I'm also just cooking these according to the package instructions. Here are the finished plates. So we have the fish, the fries, the homemade tartar sauce, and then these hush puppies are ones that I made a few months ago. When I made my hush puppies, it made a lot, so I just froze them in individual bags, and I pulled these out of my freezer and just warmed them up in my air fryer. I cooked them on 400 degrees for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then to go along with that, my husband likes to use malt vinegar, and then we like ketchup for our fries. For dinner this next night, I made barbecue chicken. This is part of a separate video that I did. I will include a link in the description box below, as well as pop an iCard up for that. Be sure to check that out. This chicken was really easy to put together and it was super delicious. To go along with the chicken, I'm making a broccoli casserole, so let me show you how to make that. For this broccoli casserole, I've been making this for years. I'm having the recipe. So to get started, in this small pot, I'm going to add a can of cream of mushroom soup. Now I'm going to add my cheese. Now my original recipe is for, I believe it's from Kraft. I don't know if any of you will remember this, but Kraft used to have cheese that came in a little tube and they had a garlic flavored. I'll try to find a picture of what it used to look like, but that's what the recipe calls for, and it was delicious, but they stopped making it years ago. So now I just use Velveeta along with a little bit of garlic powder. I don't have any of the blocks of Velveeta today, so I'm just going to use 2 of these cheese pouches. Then I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper and give that a stir, and then just allow that to cook on about medium-low until the cheese is melted and everything is heated through. Now I'm going to add my broccoli. I've just left this out on the counter for about an hour. It really works best if this is more room temperature, or even if you go ahead and cook it. But I mean, if you just want to use it frozen, you can. It just makes it a little harder to stir. But I'm just going to stir that together really well and then set that aside for just a moment. My oven has been preheating to 350 degrees. I'm going to take my casserole dish. I've sprayed this with some cooking spray. I'm going to add in my broccoli and cheese mixture. And then I am going to take a small separate bowl and add in a sleeve of Ritz crackers. I've just crushed these up. I'm going to add in a couple tablespoons of melted butter. Stir that together really well. I'm going to add my cracker mixture to my casserole and spread that out. And then I'll bake this for about 30 minutes. And here I have the finished barbecue chicken drumsticks, the broccoli casserole, and then I also made some glazed carrots. I've made this in a previous What's for Dinner video. I will include this in the description box below and pop an iCard up for it. I basically just take a can of carrots, add a little bit of butter, some brown sugar, salt, and pepper, and then just cook that on low for about 15-20 minutes. And here are the finished plates. This dinner was so good. I highly recommend these recipes. Again, I will include links in the description box below. Be sure to check them out. For dinner this next night, I'm going to make some cinnamon apple pork chops. I'm going to get started with one of the side dishes because that's what takes the longest to cook. I have this sweet potato casserole in my freezer. I got this from Aldi back around Christmas time. It is a seasonal item, so you're not going to be able to find it now, but I'm just going to cook this according to the package instructions. Next, I'm going to make some roasted Brussels sprouts. I love making Brussels sprouts this way. In fact, this is pretty much the only way that I like them. So I'm just taking this package of Brussels sprouts. These have already been cut in half, but if they haven't, you'll just want to cut them in half. Here I've got a couple of slices of bacon that I've just chopped up. I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil, some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and I'm going to toss that together and then place that into the oven. Now, usually I roast these at about 400 or 425, but I had this sweet potato casserole in the oven, which cooks at 350. So I just cook these at the same temperature, 350 degrees, for about 30 minutes or until they start to turn nice and golden brown. Now for the pork chops. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to season these. I was digging through my spice cabinet and I found this Cavender's Greek seasoning. I think I remember Love Missy XO seasons her pork chops with this, so I decided to try it. So I just seasoned both sides with some Cavender's and then a little bit of salt on the first side. I've got my skillet over about medium-high heat. I've got a little bit of olive oil and butter in the pan. It's up to temperature. So I'm going to cook my pork chops on both sides until they're about 145 degrees. My pork chops are pretty thin and they're boneless, so it only took about 3 or 4 minutes per side. My Brussels sprouts are done, and you can leave them just the way that they are and they're still delicious, but I like to take a little balsamic vinegar, drizzle it over the Brussels sprouts, and toss it together. It's delicious that way. If you have any balsamic vinegar on hand, I highly recommend you give this a try. It's so good. We usually have applesauce when we have pork chops, but my dad made and canned these cinnamon apples for us, so we're going to have that with our pork chops tonight. Here are the finished plates. We have the pork chops and the cinnamon apples, the sweet potato casserole, and the Brussels sprouts. Dinner was so good, and thanks, Dad, for those apples. They were delicious. After being unable to go anywhere for a week, we were finally ready to get out of the house. So we ordered takeout from our local Greek restaurant, ran and grabbed it, picked it up. So we just have some gyro and chicken combination platters. We have this for dinner this night as well as dinner for the next night. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.